Silo Season 3 Episode 6 spends most of its runtime proving a simple point. Getting your memory back doesn't automatically get you your power back. Juliet walks into the drive, finally remembering everything from Silo 17, the kids, Jimmy, and all of it. And the episode spends the next hour showing her just how little that knowledge actually buys her when the people around her still control every lever that matters. It's a quieter episode than the memory recovery cliffhanger from last week promised, but it's doing some genuinely important groundwork for the back half of the season. This is exactly the kind of review we provide, episode by episode coverage. We're doing the whole season for Silo Season 3. If you don't want to miss the next one, hit subscribe and turn on notifications before you keep watching. The episode picks up almost immediately where episode 5 left off. Juliet remembers, and instead of running or hiding with what she now knows, she does something far more interesting. She turns herself in. She heads down to find Camille and lays it all out. The voice she heard, the other Silo she found, and the fact that people are still alive and trapped down there. What she wants isn't revenge, and it isn't freedom. She wants permission to go back and get the kids out. Camille takes her straight to the algorithm to make her case in person, and that scene is where the episode earns its stripe. Juliet pitches the rescue, and the algorithm shuts her down flat until she offers something that should honestly make your skin crawl. Go ahead and drug her and every child she brings back and wipe their memories clean the moment they're topside if that's what it takes to get the mission approved. That's the deal that finally gets a yes. Juliet isn't just negotiating with a hostile system anymore. She's negotiating using the exact tool that's been used against her, offering up other people's memories as collateral to save their lives. It's a genuinely uncomfortable trade, and the show doesn't let you feel good about it even though the outcome is technically a win. Underneath all of it, there's a much colder detail the episode slips in almost casually. The algorithm is quietly planning to flood the water system as a way of eliminating Juliet as a variable altogether. She thinks she just won a negotiation. The system she's negotiating with is already drafting her removal. Camille's arc this episode is less about Juliet and more about how thin her control over her own household has got. She catches Robert coming back up from the lower levels alone, with no sign of Juliet anywhere, and it's immediately clear something didn't go according to plan. Robert failed whatever task he was given, and instead of confronting him directly, Camille sends him off to spend time with Anthony while quietly telling Emerson to start watching him. She's not just hunting Juliet anymore, she's keeping tabs on her own husband. That distrust gets a lot more justified once the episode circles back to explain exactly what Robert's been up to. Turns out, back when Camille first took over as head of IT, Robert was ordered to eliminate either Bernard or Juliet to keep the silo calm. He chose Bernard on paper, except he didn't actually kill him. With Martha and Carla's help, he faked Bernard's death entirely and moved him into hiding in the Digger Void, where Martha's been quietly nursing him back to health. In exchange, Bernard taught her how to retune the radio to pick up chatter from the other silos. And on top of all that, Robert has apparently been the one secretly engineering Juliet's road back to her own memories this whole time. He's not the loyal enforcer Camille thinks she married. He's been running his own operation underneath hers for who knows how long. Stick around, because this next reveal doesn't just change what we thought about Robert. It rewrites who's actually been pulling strings in Silo 18 since Season 2 ended. Speaking of Bernard, Shirley brings him back into the fold this episode, and the reaction from everyone in Martha's room is exactly what you'd expect from a group of people who genuinely believed he was dead. It's a small scene on the surface, but it recontextualizes almost everything Camille has done since taking his old job. She didn't just inherit a position, she inherited it under a lie that Robert has been maintaining right under her nose. The weight of that is hard to overstate. Every decision Camille has made, every power move, every calculation about loyalty and control, all of it has been built on a foundation that Robert quietly hollowed out before she ever sat down in that chair. Bernard being alive doesn't just complicate Camille's authority. It potentially gives the resistance something they haven't had since the rebellion fell apart, a legitimate figurehead, someone people remember, someone whose survival alone is a form of defiance against everything Camille's leadership is supposed to represent. The show doesn't push that button yet, but the potential energy in that room is palpable, and the season clearly knows exactly when it plans to detonate it. While all of that's unfolding, Paul Billings is stuck chasing a much smaller but very tangible problem. Supply is down to its last couple of light bulbs, and someone's clearly been stealing them for months. That shortage ties directly back to Orla Kent's murder, which makes finding the thief a lot more urgent than it initially sounds. Billings hits a wall almost everywhere he turns. One contact rips into him for barely caring when a friend was thrown to his death during the rebellion. Knox stonewalls him outright. Desperate, Billings even tries trading information to get a lid, and it eventually points him toward Knox's father, who apparently used to run a black market drill bit operation. It doesn't go anywhere good, though. When Billings goes looking, he learns Knox's father is already dead. Shirley manages to soften Knox up a little through a separate conversation, but by the end of the hour, Billings is still mostly empty-handed and, frankly, still not very well liked by anyone around him. There's something almost deliberately frustrating about the Billings storyline this season, and I think that's intentional. He represents a kind of institutional legitimacy that nobody in the silo trusts anymore, not after everything that's happened. He's trying to do the job the right way in a place where the right way stopped meaning anything a long time ago. Every wall he hits is less about the specific case and more about the accumulated damage that the rebellion and its aftermath left behind. It doesn't make his scenes the most gripping part of the episode, but it does does make him one of the more honest portraits of what it looks like to be a decent person operating inside a broken system. The episode's final stretch belongs entirely to Daniel and Helen. After their rental car gets hijacked at the end of episode 5, seemingly by the very AI system they've been investigating, this episode picks up with them still stuck inside it, unable to regain control and unable to flag anyone down for help. Instead of a crash or a rescue, the car eventually gets escorted by police as part of a full convoy, which is somehow more unsettling than either alternative would have been. It ends up at a private airstrip where Henry shows up waiting for them, and the two of them are led into a hangar full of visibly powerful, well-connected people. Among them is Paula Thurman, who greets Daniel and Helen and tells them with total sincerity that they're all there to save the world. Whether that's actually true is left completely open, and that ambiguity is the smartest choice the episode makes. The Before Time storyline has spent 5 episodes hinting that whatever Daniel stumbled into with his drilling technology, and whatever Charlotte saw during that bombing run, are connected to something much bigger than either of them realize. Thurman's line plays either as reassurance or as the exact kind of thing someone says right before asking you to do something unforgivable in the name of the greater good, and the show clearly wants you sitting with that discomfort instead of resolving it. Because the history of this world, or at least what we know of it from the main storyline, tells us exactly how these kinds of world-saving projects tend to end up. Someone at some point decided that the solution to whatever catastrophe came was to seal thousands of people underground and wipe their memories on a rotating basis, and feed them a carefully managed lie about what reality even is. Whoever made that call almost certainly believed they were saving the world too. That's the shadow Thurman's line cast, and the episode knows it. The Drive isn't the loudest episode of the season, and it doesn't try to be. There's no massive reveal on the scale of Juliet getting her memory back last week. What it does instead is force every character to actually deal with the fallout of that reveal. Juliet learns that remembering everything doesn't hand her any real leverage. Camille realizes her own marriage has been compromised the whole time. Billings is getting humbled at every turn, and Daniel and Helen walking straight into something that might be way over their head. It's table setting, but it's confident table setting, and the reveal about Bernard alone recontextualizes half the season that came before it. If there's a complaint here, it's that Billings' entire storyline feels a little disconnected from the emotional weight everything else is carrying. Necessary, sure, but noticeably lower stakes next to Juliet bargaining with an AI over children's memories. Still, the closing image of that hangar full of powerful people waiting for Daniel and Helen might be the single most ominous beat of the season so far, precisely because nobody explains what any of it actually means yet. The show has earned a certain amount of patience at this point. It's demonstrated repeatedly that the things it leaves unexplained aren't being left that way out of laziness. They're being held in reserve. And the Before Time storyline in particular feels like it's approaching the moment where all that restraint starts paying out. Juliet's situation is the one that carries the most immediate emotional urgency. She made a deal that should haunt her, trading one form of memory violation for the chance to prevent a different kind of death, and the episode ends with the algorithm already plotting around her. She thinks she has an agreement. What she actually has is borrowed time, and the clock is already running. Do you think Thurman and whoever's in that hangar are actually trying to save the world? Or is that exactly the kind of lie this show has been building toward the whole time? Let me know your theory in the comments, and subscribe if you want to keep tracking Silo Season 3 with us every week. Thanks for watching.